Welcome to the Black Bibliophile podcast. The Black Bibliophile is a podcast where I, Jazz, read and talk about popular and little-known books, comics, zines, and authors. To quote Haruki Murakami, "If you only read the books that everyone else is reading, you can only think what everyone else is thinking." And with that, let's start the show. Welcome back to the Black Bibliophile. It's me, your host, Jazz, and this week we'll be talking about Dead Until Dark with my lovely friend, Kelsey, who agreed to come and talk about this book. So I'm recording this a little bit before a little bit after our recording, just to add in a couple of notes about what we were talking about. Dead Until Dark is a book that we both read probably in high school. And then we read the whole series. I made her read the series with me when I was on bed rest during high school. And we read it once again probably the first 2 years of college. So our memories are a little bit fuzzy concerning the ongoing series after this book. So once we start talking about the ongoing series after this book, some of the details might be mucked up, but the general feeling of how we feel about these books are the same. So I just wanted to give you guys that heads up because that is very important. And yeah, so here is the summary of the book Dead Until Dark by Charlaine Harris. Sookie Stackhouse is just a small-time cocktail waitress in small-town Bon Temps, Louisiana. She's quiet, doesn't get out much, and tends to mind her own business, except when it comes to her disability. Sookie can read minds, and that doesn't make her too dateable. Then comes along Bill Compton. He's tall, dark, handsome, and Sookie can't hear a word he's thinking. He's exactly the type of guy she's been waiting for all her life. But Bill has a disability of his own. He's a vampire with a bad reputation. And when a string of murders hit Bon Temps along with a gang of truly nasty bloodsuckers looking for Bill, Sookie starts to wonder if having a vampire for a boyfriend is such a bright idea. One more note about this book that I didn't get to touch on with Kelsey. Sookie throughout the book calls her mind reading a disability or something and equates it to something like a disability. As a disabled person, I don't quite think it's like the movie Princess Bride. I don't think that means what you think it means. It's a disability. I mean, it's a disadvantage that she can hear everybody's brain and everything, but I don't quite view it as a disability, and you can tell as the books go on, she stops calling it that, especially in the second book. She no longer calls it a disability. So I find that to be problematic, along with a lot of other things in the book that you'll hear me and Kelsey talk about later in this episode. But yeah, let's move on to our review. Okay, so Dead Until Dark by Charlaine Harris is what we're going to talk about. This book, okay, so Sookie Stackhouse lives with her grandma in Bon Temps, Louisiana, which is in northern Louisiana. Vampires just came out of the coffin. They are real or whatever. And she's a waitress at Merlot's?
We call it Merlot's because they're in...
Yeah, Louisiana. Don't they call it Merlot's in the show?
They do, I think.
Yeah, this is based on that True Blood show that was on HBO a couple years ago, and loose translation of the books. Very,
very, very loose translation.
It got loose by the third season. The first 2 seasons were dead on the books, and then they got loose, and then we hated it immediately.
Yeah, seems like HBO does that.
Our histories... What was the histories... I started reading these books when my mom handed me a pile of these books when I was stuck in bed, and I read all of them. They're really, really small page-turning... Then I made you read them.
Those ones, literally though, you finished it and you handed it to me and I read it.
Yeah, so it was like I finished a book and I handed it to her and we kind of just kept going in that, here you go.
And then I think over the years though, because we caught up with them.
We did, and then we had to wait for them to come out. But we did read them like in high school. We were in high school.
We did.
It was a terrible time to read it. Now revisiting these books as adults is very interesting. So Sookie Stackhouse sucks.
Yeah.
I hate her as a character. And I didn't realize that I didn't like her as a character until I reread this. And I realized I always start at book number 7 because it's no longer about her. The first couple of books focus on her.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe Harris felt that, focusing on this one person, she had kind of used up her world around her, and it would start maybe seeming a little too convenient for all these things to keep happening to her, because that was the theme of the first 7 books.
Yeah, that it was just like everything kept happening around her, to her. So Sookie's kind of like, she's like 25 or some shit. She's a waitress at Merlotte's, and Vampire Bill comes to town. And he is attacked by drainers, people who drain vampire blood and then sell it on the black market to druggies.
Yeah.
They get high on it.
So essentially, in this world that Harris has built, vampires, again, came out of the coffin and are trying to integrate into regular society. Now, of course, there's a lot of backlash against this. One of the things is blood drainers, because as discovered, vampire blood has a similar effect to many drugs. It gets people high. It's also, people love to take it as, it helps their sex.
Yeah, it makes them powerful and shit. So Sookie can read minds, and she found out that they were going to drain him in the parking lot. Then she saves Bill and later finds out it's her neighbor. Blah, blah, blah. Sookie's boring. Blah, blah, blah. So the whole thing is like, this is like a mystery wrapped in a romance. That's the whole True Blood or Sookie Stackhouse series. And what made me want to reread this was my friend Tawana was talking about how much she didn't like Sookie, because every time someone died, Sookie got over it really, really quick.
Real quick.
Like nothing. There was no permanence, or she wouldn't mourn. The only person she mourned was when, spoiler alert, if you want to read these books, please turn this off now. Okay, 1, 2, 3. When her grandmother died.
Yeah, that was the last time I think she was just like, oh my gosh. And then after that, death was like...
Yeah, but when she found Dawn was one of the second victims, like, people are being mysteriously strangled in Bon Temps, and it's all kind of women who are blue-collared waitresses who used to date vampires, which Sookie falls into those 3 categories. And all these women happen to also have been sexual partners to her brother, Jason, who's like a Casanova-type character, whatever. But finds Dawn in her bedroom. She's like, oh, JB, call the police. We got another dead one. Like, that's what
she's like, well, I guess we'll have to clean that up. It was very unfeeling.
I was like, oh, okay. And then she wasn't sad about it. And then she wasn't sad about, well, the Rattrays got murdered because they tried to kill her. They beat the shit out of her in the parking lot. Bill got there, and then Bill was like, no, bitch, and then he basically disemboweled them,
just regular,
But she didn't care because they had it coming, kind of. Well, not kind of. They had it coming because she was on the brink of death, and that's the first time she had vampire blood. But I think she's very blasé with death, and that bothered me. But what else bothers us about Sookie? Because I know you don't like Sookie
I
either.
don't.
She's not a good narrator.
This might have been intentional, but Sookie is basically a white sheet of paper for people to project themselves into. Yeah. So if people are looking for something where they can be the central character, but, Yeah, you
can project yourself onto her and, like, live
vicariously through the character. I'm not quite sure.
Because there's nothing quite there.
No. So if you're looking for reading a book with a protagonist who's, relatable and has a conviction of her character, these are not the books for you.
No, they're not. You kind of get to project yourself, and that's one thing that bothered me, because as the story kind of lets you project yourself as Sookie Stackhouse, you see her going for Bill the vampire, who literally, she fucked like 3 times. She's a virgin or whatever, but she fucked like 2 times and was like, I love you, I can't live without you. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I get her reasoning why she doesn't want to date Sam, because Sam's been there the whole time for, like, the last 4 years. Sam is the owner of Merlotte's bar or whatever, her boss, and they have like sexual tension all the time. And she's like, well, the only reason you're interested in me is because Bill all of a sudden showed interest in me. Now all of a sudden you want to date or whatever. And I was like, fair. Be pissed about that. But also, Bill's every time you're about to get murdered, Bill's late. Like, why
That's
are you?
True. That's true.
She's always half dead and
beaten within an inch of her life. But hey, you know, since he's got a crush on her, at least he'll disembowel some people for her. You know?
Oh yeah, he did kill her uncle that molested her the minute she told him molested her.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess that's sweet. And she didn't really care, which I don't think she should. But that whole story with her uncle who molested her also bothered me because Jason reacted when he's like, oh, Uncle Bartlett's dead. She's like, good. And Jason's like, you can't say that, Sookie. Even though Jason knows their uncle molested her. Mm-hmm. And Jason doesn't talk to her.
Yeah,
Jason sucks. The Stackhouse is, you know, the only Stackhouse that was actually really good was the grandma, and she was murdered. So,
yeah,
because Jason sucks because not only is it the whole he's mad at Sookie because the uncle died. He's a playboy. He's kind of stupid. He slaps the shit out of her after grandma dies.
Yeah, he's you know, just your regular, you know, emotionally and physically abusive brother, loving brother.
You're like, I don't know. So when they were trying to pin the murders on him, I didn't care. Like, I reread it and I was like, I remember caring.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, it's not her brother, no. And now as a 28-year-old, I'm like, fuck it.
But I mean,
he sucks.
So yeah, so our protagonists are not quite.
They all suck.
Likeable.
I like Sam. The minute I saw Sam, I was like, he has a business. He cares. Mm-hmm. He's on his shit.
Yeah. And
he sounds hot.
Yeah.
Fun fact: he turns into a dog. That's cute.
Yeah. Spoiler for book 5.
Again, I said they did that in this book. They did it in this book because she was scared to go home because Bill was out of town, and then Bubba was in the woods. Bubba is a vampire that Bill hired that everybody looks at, and it's Elvis Presley, but you can't say his name because when they turned him over, he got all scrambled brains, and so he gets very violent if you say Elvis, so everybody calls him Bubba. So Bubba was in the woods, and she didn't want to be home alone, and Sam knew that Bill was out of town, but Sam didn't want to go. Yeah. And freak her out, so he turned into a dog.
For Sam, you know, being protective.
But also, Sam's a fucking perv. Because
just kidding. Yeah, you're right.
Everybody has these like redeeming, and then all of a sudden it's undercutted by like "fuck you." Because then Sam goes when she's about to take a shower, he's sitting there
just
as a dog, staring at her, and she doesn't know at this point that he's a dog, and she's just like he's just staring at her get naked and change. And I was like, you nasty little bitch. Because I knew the dog.
Yeah, we know the dog, Sam.
I was like, you nasty little bitch.
So I feel like there's no real,
Eric.
See, she's trying to get me, like, just derail me on anything.
Eric is the only Eric and Pam. Because they're always themselves from the beginning.
That's true, I have to say. But the thing is, it's not, if you're expecting to have a character who you're going to be like, yeah, this is my person, I love them, they can do no wrong from beginning to end.
Yeah, I guess it's nice that Charlaine Harris makes them flawed characters. I like that they're real people and they're flawed. But goddamn.
Yeah.
Out of the story, though, Sam is the only person, if Sookie was going to fuck anybody, it should have been Sam. Bill is...
Okay.
Sookie. You should watch the True Blood show if you want to hear him say Sookie over and over again. Bill sucks. I don't like Bill. He's boring.
She wanted to have like a Southern gentleman kind of thing.
She wanted
in her books.
She wanted the Southern gentleman to sweep Sookie off her feet and take her virginity. He just happens to be a very boring milquetoast character.
Yeah, but it matches her own self.
Yeah, she sucks too, man.
Yeah, so you're like, all right, you guys could,
Let's talk about Sookie's powers. They're inconsistent.
They are very inconsistent. So, starts off, basically, she sets the whole world where in her job as a waitress at Merlotte's, she can read her customers' thoughts.
She can read anyone's thoughts.
Anyone's thoughts. And so for her, she's like, you know, she has to learn to live with this. But vampires are, as a relief to her, blank.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to be constantly on her guard or constantly be berated by other people's thoughts when she's around vampires.
Which is like a turn on when she meets Bill, because it's like the first time she's ever met a vampire. And she can't hear his thoughts, so immediately it's like relaxing to be in that silence. But I was like, so?
It doesn't mean he doesn't have thoughts, though.
I was like, okay, so it's like settling. She just settled for the first dude who was like relaxing, and then she was like, you know what, whatever, let's bone. The minute she meets Bill, it's constantly like sex thoughts. There's no chill, which is fine. People are horny. I get it. Horny people. Fine. The first vampire you meet, though, it could have been anyone. I mean, he's a nice guy. Don't get me wrong. Bill's real nice in a real boring fucking way, but like...
With a side of killing people.
Oh, yeah, he likes to kill people.
But, you know, at least for vampires go, he's pretty morally stable.
He's like the nice next door neighbor. Literally, he's her nice next door neighbor. Yeah. But then we go to Fantasia. We go to Fantasia, and she meets Eric and Pam and Long, what's his name? Long Fang? Longclaw? That sounds, it doesn't matter. He dies. So, don't remember his name. But the minute you meet Eric and Pam and them, even though Eric doesn't talk a lot, I think it's just from us previously reading the books.
Yeah.
We're into Eric.
Yeah. Just confirmed.
I'm team. Eric is dope, and Eric has very good character development throughout the series. Let's just talk about the series. Wait, hold on. Dead Until Dark is a very good book, and you can read it, but also know that it's like good for trash.
Yeah, it's
like an airport book, or I'm waiting at the bank book, or I'm at the DMV book. It's not something like Tolstoy.
I was about to say, if you're looking for some mental challenge, challenge or personal development, this might not be your go-to.
But if you just want to read some light trash on your vacation flight to Maui or some shit, this is great. And there's like 14 books, and we're gonna talk about all of them. Let's go.
All right. So now,
the next one is Living Dead in Dallas, which I remember vaguely because all the books merge into one. I know in the next book she meets Alcide.
Yes.
Which is like new to her because he's a werewolf, and werewolves are a new thing.
Yeah. So there's a lot of supernatural communities that did not want to come out when the vampires did. So
and Sookie's like slowly learning about them, but knowing she has to keep their secrets until they want to come out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Alcide is fun because she breaks up with Bill in the second book. Something happens between her and Bill, right?
Oh yeah, no, he was a dick.
Yeah, he was a dick somehow because it's Bill. And then she has to work for Eric because he knows she can read minds, blah, blah, blah. Something happens. She gets poisoned. Do you remember what happened specifically? I forget how she gets poisoned. But either way, the vampire sucked the poison out of her body, and she owes the vampire one.
Yeah.
So then that one thing is she has to go to Dallas and help the vampires solve a murder of one of their own. And her escort is Alcide Havereau, who is the son of the pack leader in Dallas.
Yes.
Boom. I remember things.
Now,
I'm good at this.
Yeah, this series, again, I will say, yes, all the books do blur together.
But tell them how you remember.
Oh, it's really easy to separate kind of the phases of the books because you just kind of remember who she fucks.
Yeah, you just go by her sexual conquest. And it usually, you know who she's going to have sex with because they save her life first.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you save Sookie's life, in return, she will have sex with you. That's it.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have sex with Alcide.
Nah, but there's a thing.
There's a lot of dry humping. But she doesn't have sex with him.
Well, because here's the thing. It's not for a lack of wanting to.
Yeah, they both want to fuck.
Yeah, but he happens to, in a series of tragic events, becomes pack leader of Dallas. And with that comes responsibility with other female werewolves to, you know, procreate.
Yeah, and keep the werewolf race alive. You can't date outside the pack or whatever.
So, since she's quite not of the werewolf variety, persuasion, she, unfortunately, is cast to the wayside.
And then, yeah, like, that book is kind of whatever. I can't really quite remember what happens. And then I'm looking at the back of the third book?
Ooh,
Club Dead. I don't remember what happens.
There's a lot in these series. Now, one other...
Some of these are mostly filler, though.
Very true.
Like, we could just talk in... I like just talking about the characters, I guess, because it's really hard to go plot by plot.
Yeah.
Just like, Eric is all I want to talk about. Where's the one when Eric loses his memory? It's not this one.
It's not the third book?
It's not the third one.
Oh. So Eric
Dead to the World.
Ooh, that's
the title.
Right. Yeah. So Eric Northman.
Sheriff.
Yeah. Every time you say it, I'm like, Sheriff of Nottingham. So he was turned into a vampire back when... Vikings ruled the world. Yeah.
I don't know when that was. They don't say specifically. 2,000 million years?
But hey.
He rode a dinosaur.
Yeah. Swoops in on his pterodactyl.
He swoops in on his pterodactyl and sweeps Sookie up into the... You know what? By the end of this book, why not? Because she stopped fucking caring. Also, if you start reading these books, Charlaine Harris got really bored with this series around book, 10?
Yeah, easy. Yeah.
Easy, 10. And you can read, you can tell, because it's real lazy and it's not good. And I honestly get really sad when I think about the end of the series, because you get invested after a while. Because the books only start getting good when you focus less on Sookie. Sookie's just there for us to climb on her back as she goes through all these supernatural things. So she's going to pack meetings, she's fucking with Eric, and then she's at conferences with all interdimensional supernatural bullshit.
Beings,
yeah, I love that book. And then, but then there's witches and fairies and vampires and werepeople and woo.
Oh yeah, and don't forget the werepanthers.
Yeah. And werepanthers and all kinds of things. And it's only interesting because we're no longer focused on Sookie's dreary little life and her dreary thoughts about shit. Like, sometimes we have to care, but most of the time I just want to know what everyone else is up to. That's why I like the books. I don't remember Sookie. 90% of the time, I'm just remembering all the cool characters. Charlaine Harris is great at building worlds. Characters outside of Sookie and the General Bon Tom crew are good. Yeah. Jason sucks continuously from beginning to end.
Yeah.
He's jealous of Sookie.
He turns religious for a second.
Yeah, he turns religious, and then he gets bit by a werepanther, becomes a werepanther, and the werepanther pack in Hotshot, that's the town, right? Mm-hmm. Hotshot, and they're all like inbred fucking weirdos. Those are fun. But and then I was like, he fits in.
Yeah, he does. He does. But, and then they try and have Sookie fit in too. But
oh yeah, Calvin. Calvin tries to take Sookie and make her wear his werepanther wife. Oh, these books
she was tempted for a minute
because he's like, really nice.
I would be safe and secure.
Yeah, and he's like
taken care of,
and he's got a nice job.
See, and this is, I think, kind of on the aftermath of Eric.
Oh yeah, after Eric. Being Eric's side piece, girlfriend, romantic interest is dangerous.
Yeah.
She always nearly dies, which I feel like it's impossible that she even survived the stuff in the first book, let alone riding a coffin out of an exploding building into the sunlight. Now that I say it out loud, it doesn't... I'm gonna reread all this fucking... Because you think of the plots and you're like, Sookie's literally a fleshy mound of nothing. I mean, she is part... Spoilers. Ugh.
Yeah, again, spoilers. We've been spoiling this whole thing.
She's part fairy, which I guess... It just makes her be able to read minds. She's still human. Doesn't do anything. So,
but for being fairy, that's how I think Harris tried to explain away how she's been able to, like, survive a lot of these things.
True.
That her blood is special, and that's why vampires are like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why Bill wants to down to fuck. But then we find out that Bill... We found out in, like, the last book that Bill was really sent there by Eric to watch her because Eric owed her great-great-great-great grandfather, Niall, Fairy King, don't ask any questions. Fairy King a favor. And so Bill came back and started watching her, and then she was like, oh no, you only loved me out of obligation. And Eric's like, that's right, bitch, I love you. And then that was oh yeah. Like, they introduced fairies in the True Blood show, but it went way off the rails.
Way bad.
And you think I sound crazy when I say it went way off the rails when I'm mentioning, like, fairy kings. But the books, it makes sense in the realm, in the way they introduced it, because also the show went too fast. The show was, like, skipping ahead things, and they should have just went book by book. Each book could be a season.
Oh, easy.
Easy, but, you know, they were like, fuck it, fairies. But you can't just throw fairies right after you throw in werewolves. You need to introduce the tigers and the panthers and...
Oh, yes. Talk about the tigers.
You love Quinn.
Yes.
She loves Quinn. If you just... Okay, Quinn's a were-tiger. This is after Alcide and her don't work out. And then in between her and Eric, like, kind of working out, but not really. And so she meets a were-tiger and...
Like, the next phase.
Yeah. And the were-tiger looks like if Jason Momoa and, like, The Rock had a baby. That's what Quinn looks like. Yeah, like, the romance stuff is great. She's very graphic, and it's still very, very piece de resistance. Mm-hmm. But it's in the end, you kind of don't care because it's Sookie. It's like, oh, she gets to date all these hot guys, and she's in. I don't want to say she's ungrateful, but she's just rude the entire time.
She is
which
rude.
is coming from somebody who is perpetually rude. I am rude all the time, but yeah, yes. But she's like, Bill doesn't send me flowers, but he does murder people for me, and I don't like that he murders people for me and not gives me flowers. Why can't these guys just be normal? I'm only dating werewolves and werepanthers and vampires. I just want a normal boyfriend.
And there goes Sam, like, hey, I have a shot. And then, nope.
And she's like, not this normal guy. He's lame. I just want another normal guy. And that's the whole series. And you're like, if you don't just go talk to Sam, he owns a bar, he thinks you're cute. Sad he's late all the goddamn time. But, you know, like, oh, boo-hoo. Eric can't come out during the daytime and get breakfast with me.
Yeah,
As Sam's sitting over there, like...
I'll bring you breakfast in bed.
She's like, shut up, Sam. Don't nobody want you. And he sulks back to his trailer. Sookie makes me want to drink. Yeah. I was like, that's how she is the entire time. I want a normal guy. These guys are lame. Then they try to be nice to her. Like, Quinn tries real hard, but then she doesn't like Quinn has luggage. Quinn has a bad family.
Like, you know, Quinn was nearly perfect for me, but he has a sister who doesn't like me, and he has a mom that needs him.
That's it.
That's literally her, like, the disqualifiers of that relationship.
Yeah, you have baggage, so
unless you're an orphan,
or or a really, really old vampire
who doesn't have family either.
Orphans.
Yeah.
Unless you're a supernatural orphan, get out. She's like, I got my own problems. I don't need your problems on top of mine. And I was like, even in teenage years, I was like, bitch. And then she got mad. Gets mad all the time when they come up with new women. So, like, they get new girlfriends, and then she's, like, entitled to her say of what she thinks about these women. Like, Alcide gets a girlfriend when they never boned. And she's like, oh, she's whatever. She's kind of scruffy and rough around the edges.
She's a werewolf.
She's a werewolf,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Points for that. And then, I don't think Eric ever fucks anybody else but her. Bill gets a girlfriend.
Recreationally?
That doesn't count, because Eric's a whore.
All right.
That doesn't count.
I was
Eric
about
is...
to say, never?
No. Eric's a whore. That doesn't count. But like, Bill gets a new girlfriend, and she hates Bill's new girlfriend. She's like a lawyer or something. Yeah, the girl he hooks up with is like boring as he is, and so like, oh, she's whatever, and she's got petty shit to say all the time.
And then literally, Bill
but she
at
dumped
this point
him.
Would still drop her.
Yeah,
drop everything for Sookie.
Bill would break his girlfriend's neck to date with Sookie.
Because he's just tragically in love with her.
he almost dies at the end
trying to save her.
Sookie Sucks is basically the name of this trilogy. Trilogy? I'm so sorry. Series.
Trilogy like times 5? Nearly? Also, there's an end cap book.
Oh my god, wait. So at the end, okay, so Kelsey and I are like deeply involved. We actually caught up to the book, so we were like, I have the hardcover, so we were like 3 behind the end. So there were 3 more once we caught up. And so we read them, and we noticed that we were slipping in quality, like she was getting lazy as fuck. And the last book was trash. It just ended. It just went off.
Yeah. And so we're like, okay, I guess that's it. All right.
Nothing was resolved, and I guess we weren't the only people who were upset because she didn't resolve any characters. She didn't give anything. There's open shit everywhere. So she releases this book. It's like 100 pages, and each page is a character from her whole Sookie Stackhouse series. And she ain't shit for this. And on every page, there's a name of a person in the book. So it'll be like Jason Stackhouse went on to marry blah blah blah, lived happily ever, died. And it's like every character, it goes like that.
It was basically like her way of being like, all right, fine, bitches, let me just go ahead and wrap this up. And we're like, yo dude, we've been years
and we deserved a real ending. But I bought that shit.
Yeah.
And we read it. I was like, you don't have to buy it, I'll buy it.
We were mad.
And we read it, and I shit you not, it's like a little picture book. It has no pictures, and it's just blank pages with like one sentence on each blank page. And it's like, Sookie went on to marry Sam Merlot. Spoiler alert, who cares? And Quinn still lives with his mom. Like, it's like really sad things that you're like, you didn't have to end it like this.
Honestly, she should have just posted that on her website. Like, but hey, any
way to get a quick buck. But no, that shit pissed me off. So if you do read this series, know that it doesn't end favorably. It ends really bad.
But we're here for the first like 10 books.
10 books.
So it's worth it. It's you get 10 books of all right. This is,
and then she gets bored and she starts to hate the series.
Trash.
This is high quality garbage.
Yeah.
This is garbage, not garbage.
Oh, sorry.
Garbage.
Mm-hmm. And then the final couple turned into a dumpster fire.
That shit is trash. Hard, garbage fire trash. And then you read that last little sliver of a book that she decided, you know how much that book was? Let me tell you how much we fucking paid for that. I say we like you pay for it. I got it right here. It was $18. This sliver of the book, it's called After Dead, and it's like what came next in the world of Sookie Stackhouse. And I shit you not, like spoilers, but let me find the one that's literally one word. There's one in here that says he died. He dead.
Yeah.
Judith Verderman continued to drop in on Bill every 10 years or so to see how he was doing. Sadly, he never found it in him to return her affection. I'm guessing that was like his girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
That we were just talking about, the boring chick. But that's sad. I found the one sentence one. Boom. Still works on the bomb squad in Rhodes. You know who Boom was? Boom was the robot. You remember they sent a robot up the stairs at the conference, the vampire conference? And the robot got the bomb and went down. This is the 7th book, which is my favorite book. It's called Altogether Dead. It's a really good book. Check that one out. Also, you can read all the Sookie Stackhouse novels out of order. The way she wrote them, they're standalone books, so you can just pick them up. But, yeah, that Boom is the robot. He got a whole page 21.
Divide all the pages by how much it costs to cover. To discover how much that page is worth. Actually, quite honestly,
spent $18 on this. There is no like 20% off sticker or nothing.
We should have just sat in Borders.
We should have. In Borders, that's how old this is, kids. Borders was a bookstore.
Oh yeah. But honestly, the whole back of this cover is a picture of Charlaine Harris's face. So I swear we just got paid $18.99 for a picture of her face.
A headshot. It's quite nice. It's got the soft...
It has that, like, soft, like, glow. 80s glow on it.
She's got the Dynasty earrings on. She looks happy that she scammed me out of this book. And because I loved the first 10 books, and then I felt whatever about the last 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I bought it for us, boo.
You did.
And we read it, and we were pissed.
Made us go some kind of way.
So, if you want to read these books, I do recommend them.
I do.
Again,
I know
they're
it might not sound like it from our...
Yeah, this is just like us bullshitting about these books that we end up talking about every so often. We talk about these books all the time, I feel like.
Yeah.
A major part of our lives, because I read them fast. They're really...
Yeah, all throughout high school and after high school.
And we reread them a couple times, and I'm on my rereading them again. They're just fun. It's like when you're watching, like, The Office or Supernatural, or a show you've watched over and over and over again.
But it's still good.
And you're like, I could watch something new. This isn't that good of a show, but I like it. That's the Sookie Stackhouse books. It's not that good of a book series at all, but...
It's worth it.
Yeah, I mean,
not worth it.
I'm not gonna for real. Don't fucking
but
buy
worth
it.
the time. Like it is enjoyable.
I'm checked out the first 2 books on Libby because I'm lazy and I didn't want to hold the book. But you can check them out on Libby. Or you can find them in your thrift stores. They're that old, and I have all of them. And the paperbacks are like $5.99. So go to your local bookshop. Go to a thrift store. Find them. Please don't buy that last After Dead book for $18. I'm a dum-dum.
But if you want to check out her headshot, just flip it over.
Yeah. If you want to see
before putting it back on the shelf.
If you want to see a self-satisfied white woman, pick up After Dead and turn it over. I feel real bad that I got scammed though. Like I didn't even know. But yeah, check out these books. They're good, and it's good to read during Halloween. There's vampires and fairies and werewolves and were-tigers and panthers and interdimensional bodyguards and telepaths and Sam's a shapeshifter, and he's cool. He owns a bar, and Sookie doesn't want to fuck him until like the last book, and that was just because Charlaine Harris was bored and was like, "Okay." That was it.
It's like, okay, she can end up with Sam, I guess.
So, yeah.
So, the book started and ended at the same exact place.
Yeah. Holy shit. But I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Damn, I feel sorry for Sam. Even when he turned into a dog and he was a bit of a pervert, that shit's still...
Like, that was kind of like one of the worst things he did.
Yeah, he didn't murder her family members or... people or lie to her to get in her pants
or force her to marry him
or forcibly have sex with her in a graveyard.
That's true.
Bill did that in the first book. He forcibly had sex with her in a graveyard. It was either
death
because he was so amped up of rage, or fucking. And Sookie was like, I'll choose fucking.
And she was
yeah, it was a weird scene because I was like, this low-key feels like assault, but I don't know. But yeah, you should read these books. They're pretty good. After that,
just straight in. I'm gonna ease them back in, just straight in. So, but I recommend them.
I mean, if only to just read something. If you're in line at the bank or at the DMV and you need something quick that you can keep in your car, that would be these books. These books are not really.
But here's the thing, though. So yeah, you're gonna want to do. Yeah, they're good read car.
Read car.
No.
Read car. It's a word.
They're a good read, but you're not going to want to put them.
Yeah, for real. Because I read the first one in a day because they're really short. And now I'm reading the second one, even though I don't want to. It starts terribly, but I'm like, this is garbage. Let's keep going. Because I'm trying to get to my favorite one. They're good once you get past Sookie. Sookie's annoying as shit. And the first couple of books are all about Sookie. And you're like, go to sleep. Like, go away. Mm-hmm. I want to look at Eric or Quinn or Alcide. Alcide? Alcide. Oh, these names are hard. Alcide. I forget what they said in the show. Might have been Alcide in the show. Also, if you watched the show True Blood and you liked that show, the first 2 seasons are legitimately the book. So if you liked the show,
those first 2 seasons,
then you should fucking read these books. These books are exactly that and more. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, if you want to tell me not to talk about these trash ass books anymore, you can email me at theblackbibliophile.com. If you want to support the podcast, you can support me on Patreon. I do book clubs and book lists and release stuff on there. And yeah, thank you for being on here again.
My absolute pleasure.
Yes, we always have fun talking about the trash I force you to read. It's literally all I do is force you to read garbage. Okay. Yeah, so happy Halloween and talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.